Honorable Chairman of this technical session, all the other dignitaries on stage, and the respected teachers from different colleges and universities. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers who have allowed me to present my paper entitled On the Resides Fire on the Mountain and Eco-Critical Reading. The content of my paper falls into three sections or parts. First, I would like to draw your attention to the two terms, ecology and eco-criticism, because I think these two terms might be perhaps unknown to the students present here. Ecology is concerned with the relationship between the living organisms or biotic component and the abiotic component, their natural environment. Similarly, eco-criticism deals with the relationship between literature and ecology, or in other words, how the relationships between living organisms and their natural environment are reflected in literature. In fact, as a distinctive critical approach, eco-criticism was not inaugurated until the late 1980s in the USA. Green studies is an alternative term in the UK, where this new critical approach began in the early 1990s. Now, however, one can trace the term back to William Looker's essay, Literature and Ecology, an experiment in eco-criticism, published in the year 1978. And then Cyril Blomfeldt defined the term in 1989. And the Eco-Criticism Reader is the most influential book in this field of eco-criticism. So, eco-criticism deals with the relationship between literature and ecology, or in other words, how the relationships between literature and ecology are reflected in many fictional works. In the second part, I forgot to say another thing, an important thing. Simon Stock argues in an article, Shakespeare and Eco-Criticism, an analysis of home and power in King Lear, I quote, eco-criticism is more than simply the study of nature or natural things in literature. Rather, it is any theory that is committed to effective change by analyzing function, thematic, artistic, social, historical, ideological, theoretical, or otherwise of the natural environment or aspects of it represented in documents, literary or other, that contribute to material practices in material worlds. So this echoes the functional approach of eco-criticism. And it explains the relationship between living organism and its physical environment, and shows that such texts have an ecological wisdom. So we must be sure that eco-criticism is ethically committed to effective change of the natural environment documented in literature. And in the last and final, in the second part, I have said that I have analyzed the story of the novel to substantiate my view that there is a serious concern in organizations fire on the mountain for natural depletion taking place in today's world. The story element actually is very thin. Practically, there is no action here except the tragic end of the death of rape and death of Ila Dash. So the novel deals with the experiences of certain women embroiled by the the novel from the hypocritical perspective. Let me now read out the last two parts of my paper. The very opening sentence, I quote, Londa Kaul paused under the pine trees to take in their sainted sibilance and listen to the cicadas, a kind of insect, fiddling invisibly under the mesh of pine needles when she saw the postman slowly winding his way along the upper mall, sets the tone and temper of the novel. Londa, the protagonist, is the wife of Mr. Kaul, the Vice Chancellor of Punjab University. When the novel opens, Londa is represented as a lonely woman living in Calcutta, far from the madding crowd. She tries to find an alternative to her pain-fraught existence by leading a life of seclusion at Calcutta in the Kshudiram Hills. She starts all human company except for that of the servants who dare not disturb her privacy. I quote, she watches no one and nothing else. Whatever else came or happened here would be an unwelcome intrusion and distraction, unquote. Even the postman's arrival to deliver the letter is, quote, an unwelcome intrusion, unquote. She believes that she has completed her task as the wife of the Vice Chancellor of Punjab University and the mother of several children. She lived a tedious life, receiving innumerable visitors who used to meet her Vice Chancellor husband. Her husband had a lifelong affair with Miss David, whom he would have married had she not been a Christian. At the fag end of her life, Nanda decides to be left to the pines and cicadas alone. She wishes to, quote, march with the pine trees and be mistaken for one. To be a tree, no more and no less, was all she was prepared to undertake, unquote. Even Raka, her own great-granddaughter, is an unwelcome sight to her. She realizes that Raka has suffered from typhoid and she has been asked to stay at Calcutta in the Kasoli Hills as part of her medication. Yet Nanda is reluctant to welcome her. Let us recall such lines as, I quote, one long finger moved like a searching insect over the letter on her lap, moved involuntarily as she struggles to suppress her anger, her disappointment, and her total loathing of her daughter's meddling busybody ways, her granddaughter's abject helplessness, and her great-granddaughter's impending arrival here at Calcutta, unquote. Londa then raises a series of questions. Quote, have I not done enough and had enough? I want no more. I want nothing. Can I not be left with nothing? Unquote. In fact, Raka is, quote, an intruder, an outsider, a mosquito flown up from the plains to laze and worry, unquote. Without showing affection, she, however, welcomes Raka into her abode of isolation. In fact, she treasures her freedom, her privacy, glad her responsibilities towards her family are over, glad she needs nobody and nobody now needs her. Unlike Nanda, who, quote, was an inclusive out of vengeance for a long life of duty and obligation, her great-granddaughter was an inclusive by nature, by instinct. She had not arrived at this condition by a long route of rejection and sacrifice. She was born to it simply, unquote. Now, if just hypocritically, Nanda's wish to march with the pine trees and be mistaken for one may be looked up as Mrs. Desai's wish to aware us of the fact that nature has a healing power. We may do well to recall such lines from William Wordsworth's Tinter Abbey as, to them I may have owed with line 122 and 123. And perhaps that's why she has sent her protagonist Nanda to Karinada far from the magic crowd after making her endure a long, tedious life. Nanda's realization of nature's invaluable gifts is belated, whereas Raka is a born worshipper of nature. She moves around the hillsides and explores Karinada. Nanda gradually develops a liking for her. One day, a dust storm encountered Kasauri. It leads to forest fire, which is one of the major concerns in the mountainous regions. It results in loss of lives, property, and the depletion of forest resources. However, the important point which is to be noted here is that the novelist ends the novel with this forest fire saved by Raka and entitles the novel Fire on the Mountain. Let us recall the lines. I quote, "Look, Nani, I have set the forest on fire. Look, Nani, look, the forest is on fire. Down in the ravine, the flames had crackled around dry wood, and through the dry grass and black smoke spirals down over the mountain." Unquote. Significantly, Mrs. Desai shows no reason for this act of Raka. It is due to simple perversity of will that Raka sets the forest on fire. This is symbolic of the essential frivolity of many crimes against nature. The killing of the albatross by the ancient mariner comes at once to mind. The large seabird, which is at first held in God's name as if it had been a Christian soul and is entirely friendly and helpful, is wantonly and recklessly killed by the mariner who represents all the human beings. These kinds of acts are against the law of nature. In fact, Fire on the Mountain presents a very significant issue which we are all familiar with and forces us to look afresh at it. It provides us with an ecological wisdom that we have to change our anthropocentric attitudes into biocentric ones. Otherwise, the ecological balance of the whole world will be disturbed, thus endangering human survival on Earth. Raka is any human being engaged in destroying nature wantonly and recklessly. Thus, All Indonesia's Fire on the Mountain may be interpreted as a novel clearly illustrating the novelist's ecological wisdom. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bipasa. Now I have Professor Shrikant Kopri has been teaching for 15 years and he is a creative writer. He has published a collection of poems called The Shadows, for which the government of Korea has awarded him. And he has presented papers at Oxford University on Jayant Mahapatra, and his poems are published in United States of America and also in the United Kingdom. So that is Professor Shrikant Kopri. Shrikant Kopri, please. Good morning. The title of his paper is Light of Things, a study of mindscape of Jayanta Mahapatra, which is an extension of the paper that he read at the Oxford University.
Good morning. I'm really glad to be with you at a place where there are patriots and also a lot of patriotism. Okay, in a very less time. Jayanta Mahapatra is one of the promising poets in the postmodern arena, and his poems are published in almost all the journals of international reputation. In his poems, he comes out with the promise of nativism and silence as a technique. Mahapatra was born in Cuttack, and surprisingly, he retired as a professor of physics. He was born in an Orthodox Hindu family, and his family got converted to Christianity due to a horrible famine in 18th century. So since then, he has been suffering between two left identities, and he doesn't know which faith he belongs to Christianity or Hinduism. And the serious exploration of his themes by experimenting with certain techniques of physics like electrostatic theory, linear and circular movement of time, which is related to theory of relativity physics. With all these theories, he experiments on the landscape of Orissa. With this, he proceeds his experimentation. As the time is very less, let me start with the PPT that you can clearly have the pictures of his things. After this presentation, I will brief on his application of his landscape on his poetry. And that is Mahapatra when he was young. He got married to a Christian believer. Her name is Guru. He fell in love with her, and within 1 year he pursued her into marriage, got married a Baptist church of And actually, the paper which I am going to present is one of the chapters of my research thesis, which I am going to submit in the month of July. The third chapter, landscape, which I am going to use this landscape as his mindscape, how his mind or a stream of consciousness of his emotions meander through the elements of his landscape amidst which he is engulfed. So, he narrates the history of his land and also the history of his life, history of human life with the technique of silences and humanistic vision with the technique of landscape. His poetic odyssey into the destinations of history. This is the way he exercises the technique of silence. Through the silence indicates pain of the given points. Yeah, please. Next page. And this is the technique of silence he exercises. He uses the word as a leitmotif number of times in his poems. Symbols, images, implications, motives, and open-ended conclusions. Next page. And these are the figures which stand as different sources of silence in his poetry. Christ's image is both annoying for him, continuously annoying for him, and also endearing one for him. So, and also Mother Teresa, Buddha, whom he loves so much, and Gandhi, his lover of silence. Mahapatra is basically a supporter of nonviolence, and also Rabindranath Tagore, whom he considers as his master teacher. So, Mahapatra is always crushed between the threefold identity. The first identity is between Hinduism and Christianity. The second one is between science and literature, and the third one is between life and death. So these are the three annoying situations amidst which he crushes himself and being decisive. So he uses the technique initiated by Ted Hughes in one of his poems called Thought Fox. He uses his thought as a fox, and he explores the hidden mysteries with a transcendental precision. So he brings out a theory that life is a noise between two silences. Our birth is a silence, and our life is a kind of a noise experiencing all kinds of troubles in this immortal world. In this mortal world, I'm sorry. And our death is also a kind of silence. The picture in the middle is the painting of Van Gogh. The name of that painting is A Starry Night, a classic painting. So, in one of the interviews, he speaks like this about the technique of silence. For me, the poem is written, you can read it. The next. Yeah. My paper starts with the application of Ernest Hemingway's theory, which speaks, appearances are often deceptive. Yeah, this is the technique he uses, the technique of physics which he applies in his poems. Circular moment of time, that means examining the past and examining the present and planning for the future. And linear equation is present, about present and also future. Next page. Okay, yeah. Let me read out as a conclusion of this paper. Tuned with the voluminous account of philosophical agitation about the question of belonging, Jain Mahapatra's landscape is preserved with the deepest pathos that speaks of unending conflict between cleft identities. Being Wordsworthian, Platonian, Syrian in his spirit, it communes between two extremes, finally receding into transcendental silence. There is something beyond the mortal arena that continually laps his voice. My proposal carefully examines the poet's inherent feelings, enwrapped in the stillness and movement of every fragment of historical and natural landscape, which is transformed into mindscape where he most times unburdens his agitated self. The consequent contours left on the surface of his art are poems themselves. The transcendental conveyance of soul through historical ruins and those choicest fragments of landscape reform itself with a cathartic effect, symbolically and metaphorically molded anew. At every turn, his experiment finally emerges as a technique. Further, this professor of physics has also introduced certain techniques of physics into poetry as a remarkable practice, which is the first of its kind, thus enlarging the scope in the much neglected Indian English poetry. Observed in the philosophical and multicultural perspective, landscape in Mahapatra's poetry is worth competing with the Western strongholds of literature of contemporary times. I will end this paper with a brief interview which he has recently given at his home to the Hindu at his home in Cuttack. He speaks in terms of landscape as pictures of his mental vision, like this. I was born here, I have lived here all my life. What else can I write about but the place I belong to? I can only work out my relationships with the world I live in and with myself through my poems. So, Orissa is the world that holds me. It also strips me naked. Its history is mine. The man who is swaying on the boughs is mine. Konark's grandeur is mine. The temple's loneliness is mine. The leper woman lying under the tree with her stumbled arms stretched out is mine. So I write about these. Don't think I am being romantic, for this I know, like mango ripening on the bough, I too am ripening for death. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kapuri. You have taken exactly 10 minutes. Now may I request Professor Sudhir Das to present his paper. Sudhir Das has been teaching for 16 years and is pursuing his doctoral studies on Thana Sahid. The title of his paper is Cultural Displacement, Unhappy Marriages and Notes of Universality, a reading of Jhumpa Lahiri's collection of short stories, Interpretation of Melodies.
Respected chairperson and my colleagues from different universities and colleges and dear students. My paper is entitled Cultural Displacement, Unhappy Marriages and Notes of Universality, a reading of Jhumpa Lahiri's collection of short stories, Interpreter of Melodies. Now, in an interview, Jhumpa Lahiri has said that I don't approach my stories for being about a specific cultural group. I would rather like to draw the mindscape of characters and in dealing with human predicaments, and thus rendering notes of universality to my creation. Now, what I am now doing PhD on Thana Sahid and Jhumpa Lahiri, these two things are not at all related, except Jhumpa Lahiri is nowadays reading a lot of Thana Sahid. Anyway, this is my humble reading and the result in this paper. I am reading the paper. Jhumpa Lahiri's Indian heritage may be said to form the basis for her short stories in which she deals with questions of identity, alienation and the plight of the culturally displaced. She shows the estrangement and isolation that often afflict first and even second generation immigrants. Although the immigrant experience is central to her work, it is not her exclusive concern. In the title story of the collection, Interpreter of Melodies, she suggests through her characters that there are melodies that trouble all of us. She uses her acute powers of observation together with her personal experience to weave stories that transport the readers to an imaginary landscape, exploring and exposing the frailties common to humanity. Her stories revolve around people who are either Indian in India, Indian in the United States of America, of Indian descent. Of course, we should replace India with Bengal because our stories are called stories of Bengal, Boston and beyond. If I refer to the title story, Interpreter of Melodies, which is a story set in India, it portrays an Indian man who comes into contact with an American family of Indian descent. It not only illustrates the main theme uniting the story, the melodies that afflict her various characters, but also bridges the geographic divide between the subcontinent of India and continental North America. Mr. Tapasi there does not understand the tourists in his taxi who look Indian despite their foreign mannerisms and behavior. This immediate confusion points to one of Lahiri's major themes, that of disjunction between cultures. Sometimes her focus is on the first generation Indians who are inevitably alienated from American culture because they have left the land in which they were born and raised. Mrs. Sen, while still quite young, is made to seem old because she cannot adapt to life in America. She is a completely displaced person who yearns only for India and makes no attempt to assimilate. In a similar way, Mr. Pirzada lives in America but is mentally absorbed by what is happening in the world in his homeland, where his wife and children still reside. However, most of the stories center on marriage and relationships, particularly the arranged marriages that underpin Indian society. In A Temporary Matter, Sekshi, Displaced House, and The Third and Final Continent, while portraying characters struggling to adapt to American culture, Lahiri dwells on the intricacies of marriage. But there is a divided attitude to India between the first generation migrants and the second generation born of Indian parents abroad. For the first generation people like Mrs. Sen or the narrator's father when Mr. Pirzada came to write the story, India is home, the country of origin. But the younger group like Sukumar, Shobha, Sanjeev, Twinkle, or Lakshmi, in different stories, characters from different stories, India does not count much. In an article, Narjari, this is Rita Muni Narjari, that is included in Nidhavananda Das edited book on Jhumpa Lahiri. The book It's titled Jhumpa Lahiri, Critical Perspectives, published in 2006. She says that politically and nationally, the second generation people, they are Americans, but the added baggage of their parents' memories of their country is something that they have to contend with. In A Real Darwin, Buddhima's predicament is dismal, while a character like Mrs. Sen talk and think about home to which she can return. Buddhima, separated from her home and family in East Pakistan, later Bangladesh, displaced in Calcutta through partition, has no home but in memory. Now these words I have taken from Amitabh Bachchan's Shadow Lines. As we know, home connotes security, care, love, and above all, a sense of belonging. It is inextricably connected with one's identity. For the migrants, home perhaps is attained through imagination. Now, MacLeod writes, while discussing about Rushdie, about his physical alienation from India and creating imaginary homelands. I quote from MacLeod in his book Beginning Post-Colonialism. In this formulation, home becomes primarily a mental construct built from the incomplete spots and ends of memory that survive the past. It exists in a fractured, discontinuous relationship with the present. Diaspora, in a sense, is the result of what is called travel. Travel disperses people, intercepts continents and hybridizes culture. Culture itself is the site for travel. While Mrs. Sen is a newcomer and deeply rooted in the culture she has left behind, Shobha and Sukumar in the story A Temporary Matter, or Mr. and Mrs. Das in the story Interpreter of Melodies, are Americanized and have imbibed a hybrid culture. But as I have already said, Lahiri is not merely interested in the cultural experiences of her characters. She is more interested in drawing the mindscape of her characters and dealing with the human predicaments. In the title story, Interpreter of Melodies, Mr. Kapasi is a character who signifies the deep divide between the culture of America-born Indians and that of Indians living in India. As the Das family's tourist guide, he is constantly bemused by the fact that these people looked Indian but dressed as foreigners did. To him, they each seem completely self-absorbed, far more like siblings than parents and children. The couple also appears to be emotionally unaffected by the reality of India, particularly the grim conditions under which many Indians are forced to live. Mr. Das stops to take a photo of a barefoot man, his head wrapped in a dirty turban, treating him as if he is there merely to add local color to his travels, rather than as a human being in his own right. Mrs. Das is completely indifferent to the whole tourist experience, and she becomes only interested when Mr. Kapasi begins to tell her about his other work, that of a language interpreter for a doctor, and which she calls romantic, and later she confides a secret to Mr. Kapasi. Now Mr. Kapasi begins to see that human behavior is the same in all cultures. Mr. and Mrs. Das are no more suited to each other than he and his wife are. He recognizes the signs of a dysfunctional marriage, the bickering, the indifference, the protracted silences, and is flattered by Mrs. Das' attention. Indeed, the lack of compatibility of any kind leads to the frustration of sexuality, which in turn occasions the collapse of marital bond. Though superficially, the couple continue to live together. This is corroborated by Mr. Kapasi's confession about the discord in his marital bond and his observation of the same in Mr. and Mrs. Das. Stale marital bond is drawn also in the story A Temporary Matter and This Blessed House and Sexy, and even in Third and Final Continent. Kapasi's fantasy that Mrs. Das' polite interest indicates something deeper. His attempt to prolong their tour only prompts an unwanted admission from Mrs. Das that her son is not her husband's. He is dismayed to find that she thinks of him as a parent rather than a potential partner, and that she has only felt comfortable in confessing to him because of his talents as an interpreter. Each person has seen the other as a kind of savior, only to be disappointed. Kapasi feels insulted at being used by Mrs. Das, while Mrs. Das realizes that he is merely an unimportant tour guide after all, irrelevant to her. The character of Kapasi then demonstrates that human understandings and not merely cultural divides can lead to
on which he has written his address floats away, he is reminded of the harsh truth that life is full of missed opportunities. In Mrs. Sen's, another story in the collection, the boy, Elliot, functions as a foil to demonstrate Mrs. Sen's inability to assimilate into American culture. Although Mrs. Sen dominates the story, Elliot becomes a figure who not only illustrates the balance between the cultures, but also develops as a character that grows through experiencing the other customs. This 11-year white American boy, Elliot, while Mrs. Sen, the next in line of Elliot's after-school babysitters, is hired because he is a professor's wife, responsible and kind. She is, of course, much more than this, as Elliot is soon to find out. She is a traditional Indian wife who feels isolated and lost in the foreignness of American culture. We perceive Mrs. Sen through the eyes of Elliot, who notices the striking differences between the domestic life of these Indian immigrants and his own. Through his thoughts, we are given detailed descriptions of the Sen's apartment, suggesting, although he is no way judgmental, that he perceives the family as strange. Indeed, his ability to absorb and enjoy this alternative way of life becomes a learning experience for him. Elliot, in fact, compares Mrs. Sen with her mother. Unlike Elliot's own home, Mrs. Sen's is welcoming and her apartment is warm. He soon comes to look forward to watching her as chopped things seated on newspapers on the living room floor. He is fascinated with the knife that looks like the prow of a Viking ship. Mrs. Sen is so alienated from her new life and so starved for company that she allows Elliot to become her confidant. And through her, Elliot comes to understand the anxiety that ensues from being cut off from one's family and friends. Lahiri points out that communication is essential, both for societies and for individuals within society. Lack of communication and miscommunication often lead her characters to feel emotionally isolated and to suffer from cultural displacement. In the story, The Third and Final Continent, the speaker also searches for his identity across continents. He is born in Asia, travels to Europe to study, and finally immigrates to North America. And there also we find the problem of cultural displacement and how he copes with cultural displacement. To discern pain is an approach, another approach to realize the ongoing conflict between different cultures within an individual's experiences. So these stories may also be interpreted from the experience of pain these characters who are culturally displaced undergo. Mr. Kapasi, the protagonist of Jhumpa Raidi's title story, would certainly have his work cut out for him if he were forced to interpret the melodies of all the characters in this eloquent debut collection of Jhumpa Raidi, interpreter of melodies. But he has his own problem, and Mrs. Das, he could not cure Mrs. Das' problems as he could not cure his own problems too. And though these 9 tales concern with mostly characters of Indian heritage, the situations Lahiri's people face, from unhappy marriages to civil war, transcend ethnicity. As the narrator of the last story, The Third and Final Continent, comments, there are times I am bewildered by each mile I have traveled, each meal I have eaten, each person I have known, and each room in which I have slept. In that single line, Jhumpa Raidi seems to have summed up a universal experience, one that applies to all who have grown up, left home, fallen in or out of love, and above all, experienced what it means to be a foreigner, even within one's own family. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. Now, I request Professor Vishweshwar Chakravarti. Professor Vishweshwar Chakravarti is a former student of this college, and he teaches at Jagram Raj College. And the title of his paper is Problems of Cultural Equivalence in Tagore Translation.
Respected Chair, my teachers present here, my friends, students, I feel really honored to present a paper here because this is the college of which I was a student a few years back. I would like to talk on problems of cultural equivalence in Tagore translation. And I will just share very little about translation studies. I read. Having emerged onto the stage of world literature at the fag end of 1970s, translation studies consolidated its generic status in the 1980s. Though once thought as a marginal activity, translation now is seen as a rudimentary act of exchange of human experience that includes social, cultural, and ethnographical contexts. Modifying the concept of a translator as held by Irish scholar Michael Cronin, who compared a translator with that of a traveler engaged in a journey from one shore to another, we may say that a translator culturally negotiates two divergent cultures. The translator is a creative artist who ensures the survival of writing across time and space. As intercultural mediator and interpreter, a figure whose importance to the community and diffusion of cultures is immeasurable. So far about my view of translation studies from the cultural aspect. I am coming directly to Tagore translation. In this connection, Tagore translation could be a very interesting field, and my aim is to focus on the faithlessness and equivalence of Tagore's works, problems of equivalence of Tagore's works in both the cases, his own translation and translation of his works by others, especially non-Indians in English. Raja Rao once declared that it was a very difficult task for him to translate the rhythm of Indian life and society into a medium which was not his own. Though he articulated his experience of Indianness in English rather than his mother tongue, he was aware about his obvious limitations. He, however, managed to harmonize his Indian experience and his expression in English by establishing the Indian English as an independent variant of standard British English. Rabindranath, much earlier, also faced a problem like this, though it was slightly different in dimension from that of Raja Rao. In the entire volume of Tagore criticism, almost nothing has been said about translational linguistics Tagore had followed when translating Bengali text into English. Translation, being a job of higher cultural significance, quote-unquote, demands the translator's attention and consideration of so many things. A practicing translator tries first to transfer the meaning of the source language text, both conceptual and associative meanings. Again, if he finds convenience, he tries to find a suitable equivalent from his target language text in correlation to the source language text. Now and then, he makes a compromise between form and meaning, depending upon his judicious understanding and appreciation of the social and cultural mores of the two language communities. When Tagore was transtexting the cultural significance of the source language texts to target language text, Bengali and English, what kind of poetics he had followed has not been given much attention so far. Tagore himself began, it is with and after his acquaintance with William Rothenstein, Tagore himself began to translate his works beginning with Gitanjali. He started to do the job from March 1912 and got it privately published from London in November 1912. This is the great opening English renderings of Gitanjali may not be accurate from the point of view of grammar and syntax, but the flavor and feel, quote-unquote, of the volume was strong enough to draw the attention of the contemporary English poets. Yet, in his famous introduction, writes ecstatically, I quote, "These prose translations have stirred my blood as nothing has for years. These lyrics display in their thought a world I have dreamed of all my life long. The work of a supreme culture, they yet appear as much the growth of common soil as the grass and rushes." Yeats helped Tagore to revise his translations for publication, but he might have been dismayed by the latter's depth of English. In 1970, he wrote to Macmillan, pointing out Tagore's waning reputation as a poet because of poor translation. In 1935, a few years before his death, in a letter to Rothenstein, Yeats delivered this broadside against Tagore. I quote, "Tagore does not know English. No Indian knows English. Nobody can write with music and style in a language not learned in childhood and ever since the language of his thought." Yeats's ambivalence was shared by many who have translated Tagore. Coming to Tagore himself, it must be said that he was also painfully aware of the difficulties of translation. In a letter to Edgerbound, he writes, "I had my misgivings, but I must say they have not been purposely made moral. They are not to guide people to the right path. They merely express the enjoyment of some aspects of life which happens to be morally good. They give you some outlook upon life which has a vastness that transcends all ordinary purposes of life and stirs imagination. I am sure in the original there is nothing that shadows the pulpit. Perhaps you miss that sense of enjoyment in the English rendered, and bereft of their music and suggestiveness of language, they appear as merely didactic." Unquote. This last sentence is certainly true. The problem is similar when we come to consider his exchange with Edward Thompson, upon whom Rabindranath gladly relied on in the matter of translation of his works. He knew his limitations. I quote, "In my translations, I timidly avoid all difficulties, which has the effect of making them smooth and thin. I know I am misrepresenting myself as a poet to the Western readers." And in this letter, he also expresses that he is aware of his misdeeds, quote unquote, and quote, "and withdraw into my original vocation as a mere Bengali poet." The Bengali writer Rabindranath's English language career as Tagore settled down after the 1920s with not too many upsurges disrupting the flow of what he himself wrote in English or what he got published in English translation. But he never sat quiet at his own translations. He regretted heavily. The letter quoted here bears the evidence. I quote, "You probably know when a calf dies, the mother cow stops producing milk. At that time, the calf's skin is stuffed with straw to make an artificial creature. On seeing whom and smelling the resemblance, the cow's udders begin filling with milk again. Translation is like that figure of the dead calf. It deceives but cannot allure." In another letter, on April 10, 1935, he wrote to Edward Thompson, "While going through them," I quote, "while going through them as appearing in different books, I was startled with the slipshod character of most of their number and strongly felt the desire for ruthless excision. I have done gross injustice to my original productions, partly owing to my incompetence, partly to carelessness." In another letter, 2 months later, on 11th June 1935, he is writing to T. Serge Moore, "I am no longer young and I have had ample time to realize the futility of going out of one's natural sphere for winning recognition. Languages are jealous sovereigns and passports are rarely allowed for travelers to cross their strictly guarded boundaries. Translations, however clever, can only transfigure, dancing into acrobatic tricks, in most cases playing treason against the majesty of the original. I often imagine it to be an attempt by the devil of a translator to render human form in the mold of its own outlandish idiom." Unquote. It could not be said that Tagore failed miserably in matters of translation, as many would like to comment. He might have sensed the absence of beauty, emotionalism, and aesthetic aspects of these translations. That's why he came back to his original medium, as one cannot assimilate an alien culture to the fullest extent. This again is a problem with Radice, who in 1980s gave some of Tagore's poetry a new lease of life in English. Radice admits, I quote, "Tagore's art is vulnerable art. Nearly all his writings are vulnerable to criticism, philistinism, or contempt because of his willingness to wear his sentimental or embarrassing, and his refusal to clothe his utterances in cleverness, urbanity, or double talk. Ravitch's